All right, The Story of Reality by Greg Koukl. You want an accurate summary of the Christian worldview? This is the book to get. It's well written, it's brilliant, you gotta get it, you're gonna love it. In this book, Greg Koukl does address some really heady issues, but he does it in a very winsome and a very accessible way. And this book is basically just about the coherency and the consistency of the Christian worldview. He begins the book by explaining that there is a reason why things are the way that they are. And he says that if there wasn't a reason why things are the way they are, we'd have no reason to wonder why things are the way that they are. So the fact we can even ask the question seems to prove that there is an answer to the question. And so the whole idea of this book is that the story of Christianity, which is the story of the Bible, is basically the story of reality. It's the explanation as to why the world is the way that it is and why we experience the things that we experience. And so I'm going to actually jump right into the interesting idea of this book. At the very beginning of the book, he asks his readers to think about this question: what is Christianity? And he begs us not to be trite in our answers. And then he suggests an answer for us, and he tries to answer this question in the broadest term possible and basically says Christianity is the story of reality. So basically what he's saying is that Christianity is not just a religious preference, it's not just about a code of ethics, but it's actually living out a right response to the objective reality of God. But of course there's also other worldviews out there, and these are other stories of reality, but they can't all be the same because they all contradict one another. But the biblical message is the only worldview that gives us an adequate and coherent explanation of reality, and so Greg Koukl calls it the story of reality. So most of this book is spent going through the 5 basic elements of the Christian story. He starts with God, then he talks about man, he talks about the fall, he talks about Christ, and he talks about the resurrection. And he talks about each of these as like puzzle pieces that have to be fit together in order to make sense of reality. And so this book is filled with a lot of great apologetic insight, and he does a lot of good comparison between Christianity and some of the other predominant worldviews out there. And I think my favorite quote from the book is when he said, Christianity is your story, whether you believe it or not, because Christianity is the story of reality. So that about sums it up. This is a fantastically written book, and I would highly recommend it to any Christian who's just getting started in studying apologetics. I would also recommend it to anyone who has questions about Christianity and just wants to learn more about the story of Christianity. And so as always, if you're interested in getting the book, I've provided a link below in the description box, and so definitely check it out. It's called The Story of Reality by Greg Koukl. Get the book.